Well, how about a big round of applause now for Tim Lopez?
All right, so about 10 years ago, I was working as a bartender at a TGI Fridays in the Valley, just north of Los Angeles. And Fridays was a pioneer in what is known as Flair bartending, which is an aggressively flamboyant style of bartending, immortalized by Tom Cruise in the 1988 film Cocktail, in which he plays a young hotshot bartender who uses his bottle flipping shenanigans at a TGI Fridays location in Manhattan. Now, after this peak, Flair bartending went into a bit of a decline, as did Fridays' overall cachet, reaching rock bottom in the 1999 film Office Space, in which the entire concept of Flair was so thoroughly ridiculed that Fridays corporate actually went out of its way to effectively ban everything Flair related from all of its restaurants afterwards. So, by the time I arrived there, Flair bartending had effectively been, forced into the shadows and had gone underground, and was about to become a kind of a lost art. But there were always persistent rumors that there were bartenders that were still practicing it in secret with the intention of someday bringing it back. Now, those rumors were confirmed in 2005 when corporate announced, with mild fanfare, the 2005 TGI Fridays Regional Bar Flair Championships, in which one representative from each location in Southern California were all to meet up together and compete against each other in this grand spectacle of bartending tomfoolery. Now, I signed up for this immediately. Partially because I didn't really have anything else going on in my life, and also because, I thought it was a good way, it could have been fun. I thought it was a way for me to express myself in a semi-theatrical manner. Now, I was given 3 months to prepare, which meant that, true to form, I didn't do anything resembling serious preparation until the days before the event. And furthermore, my training regimen consisted entirely of getting drunk and or high and watching key scenes from Cocktail at half speed. So, on the day of the tournament, I was feeling a bit underprepared. But then I thought about it, and I was like, who's really going to be here to watch this at 3:30 p.m. on a Monday? I was expecting, a handful of bartending nerds and, the usual assortment of degenerate barflies that you find at a TGI Fridays happy hour. But apparently, they had done quite a bit of publicity for the event, because when I arrived, the place was packed. It was 5 deep at the bar. The restaurant was completely filled up. They were offering 2-for-1 drink specials and unlimited Jack Daniels appetizers. The place was nuts. I had some friends that came and showed up without telling me they were going to do so, and there was a camera crew there that was videotaping the event for broadcast, not just to the entire restaurant, but also to every participating TGI Fridays restaurant in North America. So, at that point, I began to worry, and that worry escalated into full-blown panic when I got my first look at the competition. Now, these were some legitimately badass individuals who took Flair bartending very, very seriously. And they all came out, and they all had a very elaborate choreographed routine that was set to music, and they were doing elaborate tricks like flipping multiple bottles at the same time, and flipping bottles and catching them on their foreheads. And one girl took 3 maraschino cherries and threw them up in the air and then caught them on a cocktail spear wedged between her teeth. It became very obvious very early that I was not going to be competitive in this event. And what made it worse is I was set to go last. So I basically had to stand there and watch as these people just got up there and just absolutely shredded the bar, while I stood off to the side and withdrew into a personal shame spiral. Now, second to last, the guy before me, he gets up, and this guy looks like a Flair bartender's wet dream, all right? He's like buff, and he's like sleeved up, and he has a man bun, and he's extremely attractive, and his name's Esteban, so he's like slightly more Latino than me, and he gets up there and just absolutely destroys. And his routine is set to the Beastie Boys, "You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party." So during the chorus, he's like, "You gotta fight, flip, flip for your right, catch, catch to party." The place goes apeshit. My heart sinks. I go over to my manager. I'm like, "Yo, I'm not going out there. I can't do this. I can't follow this guy." And he's like, "What? Like, why? You have to. I repped you." And and I'm like, "I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm going to make a fool out of myself out there." And this look comes over his face, and it's a look that I'm very familiar with, and it's a look of disappointment. And it's a look that I'd been looking at basically my entire adult life. I'd seen it on the faces of my parents when I told them I was dropping out of school. I saw it on the faces of every employer I'd ever had, every job I'd ever quit or been fired from. I'd seen it on the faces of girlfriends who were breaking up with me for something I did or something I didn't do. And I realized that this is my pattern, this is my MO. I would get into something with enthusiasm and with promise and with potential. And then when it came time to do the work, I would bail. And at the moment of truth, I would quit. And, maybe that's why I was there. 10 years out of high school, I just moved back home, and, I was working at a chain restaurant, and I really didn't have anything to be proud of except for this, and I couldn't even get that right. And, so I said, you know what? Fine, I'll go out there. I'll do it. And my manager says, okay, great. And then they called my name. And then he says, wait, what song do you want? And I looked at him and I said, it doesn't matter. And I went out there and I looked at the faces of the crowd, everybody eagerly anticipating some new form of bar trickery. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was panicked. And then I heard the music start. And the song that he chose was Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself. And I laughed. And I started laughing hysterically. And then I kind of started tapping my foot like this. And then for the next 3.5 minutes, I proceeded to make a complete and absolute mockery of the art and craft of Flair bartending. I did comedy. I was basically doing tricks that I wasn't landing. I was flipping bottles and dropping them and breaking them. I was spilling alcohol and bar mixes all over everyone. But I was doing it with gusto. I was doing it with verve. I was doing it like I meant it. And yes, I got the absolute lowest score that anybody ever recorded at one of these tournaments. And I'm not trying to say I figured everything out in my life afterwards. Full disclosure, here it is 10 years after this, and I'm still a bartender. But at least I know that I've got flair. Thank you.
Tim Lopez.